Good Wednesday morning, everybody. How we doing out there?
Good morning.
Like a little AC/DC to get your Wednesday morning going. Who wants to get us started with some positivity? Who's got something good going on in their world? Somebody's got to have something. No gratitude out there. We're going to force somebody to speak. We might need to start doing some gratitude journals.
We woke up today.
Bunch of losers. That's what Martin just said. Bunch of losers on this call.
No, I did not exactly say that. I said we all suck today.
Well, I will tell you, I will share a little bit of gratitude. I am headed out to our grand opening for our Eastern Mass agents, where we have partnered with Work Bar. And you just never know what you're going to get for Wi-Fi at a rest stop. And I've got some pretty good Wi-Fi here, able to do the call, play some music. So that is my gratitude, because I showed up here not knowing what the hell I was going to get. So I am grateful to be able to just do the call this morning. So let's start with a little bit of messaging around competitiveness today. I think a lot of times the people that get into this business do have a little competitive nature. But I definitely think there are two ways to kind of approach competitiveness. And the first way is externally. And I think, I don't know, I think a good portion of people in general get caught up in external competitiveness. And that is comparing yourself to those around you, those have done it before you, maybe siblings, maybe parents, maybe, other relatives, others in the industry, obviously. And this can just, especially in real estate, can be a real rabbit hole. I mean, it can be a rabbit hole no matter what aspect of your life. If you are going after better health and wellness and you're following a health and wellness coach and they just seem to have all their ducks in a row and they are super fit and they eat the exact right way, and you're trying to live up to that, it can be difficult. And when you get into real estate and you see these top producers and they're doing all these deals, and why am I not doing all these deals? I'm working just as hard. It's difficult. Right. So I'm trying to, push for internal competitiveness with this group. So really, just no matter what you're doing, if you can approach it as, hey, it's just me against me, and I'm just trying to be a better real estate agent than I was yesterday. I'm just trying to be a little bit better with my diet than I was yesterday, a little bit better with my morning routine than I was yesterday. I'm not trying to chase the mentor or the guru or whoever it is that I'm following. I'm not trying to be the best agent at the brokerage that I'm at. I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday. We're going to have a lot better fuel to the fire, I think. You're going to see a lot better. That competitiveness can really come out and drive results. So just a little messaging today around, we absolutely want, competitive people around us. But if it's an internal competitiveness versus an external competitiveness, I think that's even better. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts around this or wanted to share anything around this topic, because I think it's a really, really important one. Go ahead, Molly.
Morning. Yeah, I think I definitely relate to both the external and the internal, and definitely when I feel the external competitiveness coming in, I always remind myself of the quote, "Comparison is a thief of joy." And another quote that I have is someone else's success is not your failure. So just because you see someone else doing well doesn't mean it's taking away from your own wellness. So that's always something I remind myself of, just to not get down on myself for not doing good enough in my own book.
Yeah, I think when you can really lock into internal competitiveness, I'm a little trouble with my camera here. I think success of others is more inspiring, just showing you that I can get somewhere, right? It's that I think it's Roger Bannister in the 4 Minute Mile. If you're looking at that like, oh, I'll never get there, versus internal and just, hey, well, that's awesome that he did it. That inspires me to be able to do it. I want to be able to do the 4 Minute Mile, right? So I think when you can really lock into internal competitiveness, other people's success is just inspiring instead of jealousy. So I love the quotes, Molly. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Okay. Well, keep it in mind. Maybe jot down some of Molly's quotes, and I hope that it just helps a little bit, especially if you're struggling with the comparison stuff, because it's that one foot in front of the other that's really going to make the progress and make the difference, especially mentally. You know, you can really mess yourself up mentally if you're chasing somebody else. Jeff, and it's not Jeff and Linda this morning. It's just Jeff.
No, it is.
No,
Oh, boys, you
it's
guys are messing with me.
we wanted to see if you were alert this morning. We're on a different device. Say, there is an amazing book by a gentleman whose name is Jeff Olson, and it's called The Slight Edge. And I cannot recommend this book more highly to everyone. And it's all about the compounding effects of the actions that we take over time. And basically what Jeff is saying is we don't see on a day-to-day basis the effects of the little habits and the little things that we do or do not do, but they compound just like interest does. And it can go in a trajectory that's heading in a positive direction or in a negative direction. And we don't feel or see those effects until something significant happens. And so he's saying that this is a way for us to become much more aware, much more in tune with all of the slight little actions that we are or are not taking, that in our minds we can say, oh, well, that's not a big deal if I do this today. Or, oh, this isn't a big deal if I take this positive action today. And we grow discouraged because we look for instant gratification. But he's talking about how over time, the mega effects of those actions that we choose to take in a positive or negative direction, how they absolutely are so impactful in our lives and the direction that we go in. And it applies to our relationships, to our health, how our health goes, how our business goes. And when you start looking at it in through this lens, you really sort of don't look at the exterior competition anymore. And it's really not about competition. It's more about just you being better or losing ground every day based on what it is that you wish to accomplish. And it's a way of being much more hyper aware of, is this action, if I take it or not, is it in alignment with who I say I am and what I say my goals are. So it's just a brilliant little book. It's a wonderful read, and I can't recommend it more highly. I actually like to read it at least once a year. It's really, really lovely.
Thanks for the share, Linda. Maybe you can just put either a link to it or the name and the author. I think you said it was Jeff Olson, but if you could put it in the chat, that would be great.
I'll be happy to. Thanks so much.
Let's transition into some real estate. Who's got a situation going on a deal that they want to talk about? If nobody has anything, I had something come across. Oh, Pat, what do you got?
So I got a deal going on. I kind of know the answer to it, but I just want to throw it out there to see what you guys think. So when we set our dates, right? We set our dates for an inspection date, whatever, 7 days ahead, and purchase and sale 10 days ahead. So what I've run into on the last couple of deals is the listing agent is very aggressive at making sure the purchase and sale is finished really quickly, so that then or he can then say, well, purchase and sale's ready. And I say, well, we're not through inspection contingency yet. Like, we want to work through what we have going on in inspection before we sign the purchase and sale and get the next deposit over. And so they're being very aggressive in the sense that, like, which I get from the seller side, like, we want you to sign purchase and sale, get some bigger deposit. But I thought the whole point was, hey, let's get through inspections. And if we get through inspections, then we'll sign the purchase and sale and give you the bigger deposit. But what I've been finding is that list agents are very quick. Like, it'll be 2 days after they accepted the offer. They're like, purchase and sale's ready. Why aren't you signing it? We really need that other deposit. Why are we getting it over here? Like, why are we setting that date for after the inspection contingency if they're just going to try to push and be rude about getting it signed and getting the bigger deposit over beforehand?
Lauren, I saw your hand go up, so maybe you wanted to comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, we had come across this when we had an attorney at one of our meetings within the last couple of months, that we are actually looking for those purchase and sales sooner, right? So either same day or even day before we're doing inspections. And the reason being, that the sellers are looking for that additional deposit. It felt like too many buyers were giving a small initial deposit, doing inspections, backing out. They feel like they really didn't have much skin in the game at the very beginning, on the line, just easy in and outs of contracts without having that purchase and sale in place. So we are trying to do it as recommendation sooner rather than after inspections now.
Yeah, when we have the listing side, obviously we want to try and get that as soon as possible and get that deposit in. And yeah, I mean, Pat, I don't, obviously if you're on the buy side, there's no rush, right? Now, in theory, the buyer's deposit is protected regardless, right? And so most of the other states that or all of the other states that we operate in, we're going right to purchase and sale. Right. So this is unique to Massachusetts and kind of unique to Western Mass, where you go offer and then purchase and sale. So you got to remember, everywhere else, you're just going right to purchase and sale. Deposits are in. Maybe you've got a delay. Some of the purchase and sales have a delay in the time that the deposit goes in. But in theory, that deposit, it doesn't matter if we've got an offer signed or purchase and sale, should still be coming back to that buyer if the inspections go awry. Right. Now, Pat's concern is obviously, in theory, it just comes right back to the buyer. But the reality is, if you try and back out, the seller still has to sign off on these deposits to be released. And if a seller wants to be difficult, there's nothing the broker can do. Even if the broker believes the buyer is within their rights to request their deposit back, both parties have to sign that release and allow for that deposit to come back. So I hope that clarifies it a little bit, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Yeah.
You're
can you hear
beautiful.
me? Yeah, I'm
Yep.
driving up Boston as well. Yeah, so I get it. I understand what's happening there. I guess, and when I first started, I was giving both deposits up front. Like, you know what, we'll send you everything all at once. And then I got burned on exactly what you're saying, which is we gave like a $12,000 deposit, and the list side wanted to be difficult. We backed out because of unsatisfactory inspections, and they just wouldn't sign the termination. It took like 35 days to get their deposit back. We couldn't make offers on other properties because all the money was tied up. So to me, it's like, well, until we're sure we want to stay in this, in this particular case, we had an inspection. The main panel of the electrical box in the basement, when they took the panel off, was completely covered in rust because the conduit on the outside is letting water into the main box in the basement, which is a pretty big deal. And they were like, well, we don't want to, we're not fixing any of that. So you can either give us the bigger deposit and sign purchase and sale, or this is in the house for you and move along. And it's like, listen, we just want to get a quote to see how much it's going to cost. Like, I don't think it's out of the, we're still in the inspection contingency. We've already set up the time to come and see the property and have an electrician take a look at it to give us a quote. We get that you're not going to do any fixes or give us any credits on it. We understand that, but we don't want to buy the house unless we know if it's going to be a $2,000 fix or a $9,000 fix. And, you know, again, obviously we're going to try to keep the deal together, even if it is a $9,000 fix, which obviously it's not going to be that much. But the point is, like, what's with the, you know, I just don't understand why someone comes hard at you about, you know, we're still within our 10-day contingency for inspections. Like, I'll move on, or we're going to move on. Like, what are you talking about? We're under contract. We've given you a first deposit. We've signed purchase and sale. So what I advised doing was signing purchase and sale yesterday. But, I mean, we have a 24 to 48-hour window to get the second deposit over. So we're just going to wait 48 hours until after we've had the quotes done to give that second deposit anyway. So, I don't know. It just seemed weird to me to come so hard at me about a purchase and sale agreement when it's like, come on now, what are we doing? Like, you're under contract. Like, give us a little bit of due diligence here. We're not even out of our inspection contingency period yet.
I think additionally, and again, pretty unique to Massachusetts, is without having that purchase and sale, right, there's kind of a limitation on what your lenders can be doing without that. So it was getting pushed back pretty far, 10 days, 14 days that we weren't having purchase and sale. That wasn't then getting to lenders, which was then delaying everything else as far as on the lending side.
100%. I completely agree. And if I was at a normal timetable, I would agree with you. But we're at a 60-day close, so we have an additional 2 weeks. So, you know, I don't know. And
I think the reality is you got a frustrated listing agent that's just trying to move things along, right? For their seller, and you're trying to delay things for your buyer, right? So yeah, I think the way you're doing it, right? Okay, you want the purchase and sale, fine. We'll sign that, but we have 48 hours to get that deposit to you, and we'll be able to figure out our inspection issues within that 48 hours. So I think you did a good job of delaying. You know, you hold them up as long as you can. You try and get those inspections resolved, and you know, release that deposit as late as possible on the buy side. And obviously on the listing side, we want that deposit as early as possible. So great question. And I will say, like, guys, just because you think you know the answer, or even if you 100% know the answer to something that you dealt with yesterday, the day before, just bring it here, right? Just so we can discuss it. Other people can hear it. Right? It doesn't have to be something that you're struggling with today that you don't know the answer to. It's, hey, I had this situation happen. We haven't. I attend this call every day. I haven't heard you guys talk about this. Just wanted to share. Go ahead, Martin.
So we're talking about purchase and sales. I've finally got some. It took almost 3.5 weeks to get a purchase and sales together because not our attorney, the other attorney, and it was just land. And this land has been under contract before, so we both, the listing agent and me, we didn't understand like what the hell was going on. When it took literally 3.5 weeks, and it was like we got the original closing date was supposed to be, let's just say, Wednesday. We got the purchase and sale signed on Tuesday, so we had to do the extension for the closing. And then once again, seller side, closing was supposed to be today, and last night at 5:30, he sends out an extension. I'm just curious if, does anybody else have like something that's, to me, it's stupid, but it is what it is.
Anybody else dealt with that?
Why are they extending again? It's land. Like, I guess I would ask why they're extending for the second time.
They didn't get a cut because of the holiday. They didn't get it clear that there's no HOA fees due. Crickets. Wow.
Yeah. I don't. It seems like a weird ask on the extension. What do you have for a closing date on that?
Originally, it was supposed to be today. And like I said, last night at 5:30, I get an email from the sellers like, oh yeah, I forgot to send this.
HOA fees, is that what you said, Martin?
Yes.
So is it gonna be a condo built there? Or like a development? So it's like HOA to mow the areas.
No, it's there's a lake involved, there's beach rights, there's a
Okay,
whole
so
other
there's
thing.
other houses already built there?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so his reason for extension was because he was confirming what HOA fees there were?
No, that the seller didn't own anything on it. There was no
Okay.
HOA fees due, basically.
Okay, almost like a resale package, but not, I guess you'd say.
Correct.
So now they're not, like, what's their closing date now? Are they clear to close? Like, what's their deal?
It's a cash deal, so there's no clear to close. We never had that.
So
But it was
what's the new closing date they're proposing?
a week from today or sooner.
Okay, so basically it's just the attorneys getting their paperwork and shit together and final shit so that they can schedule a signing, really?
Correct. Yes, that's that part. But like to me, to take 3.5 weeks to get a P&S together.
I
was
would push for a
ridiculous.
specific date if I were you, and I'd reach out to your attorney and say, look, what day are we closing this? I would not sign that extension until you get some statement from both attorneys, like, we're going to sign Friday at 5. Like, just find out when they can do it, because, the attorneys need to be able to put this in their schedule too. That's what I would do. And then
Okay.
I'd be like, look, this is the day we're fucking closing. Everybody see this paper. This is the day we're extending to. That's it. And just wrap this shit up.
Because it was all over stupid crap. Like first it was like it's not the right lot number that was on the deed, and then whatever the lot was supposed to be 0.68, but it was reading 0.38 because it's not that.
I mean, if it's cash, then you're not dealing with a bank. So
Yeah.
basically, the attorneys are going to tell you if there's anything left that they need to do, final readings or whatever the heck. So, I mean, I would just really contact the attorneys at this point and be like, "What day are we closing? Where are we?" So that you don't have to keep extending. You guys need to all just agree on the day that's going to make this happen.
No, I agree. Like the listing agent has been great. We've been working together, but it was just like we're both looking at each other like the attorneys are just to us it was just like this is a shit show with the attorneys.
Yeah, Meg, you got your
So.
hand up. What do you got?
I just wanted to advise that, if there is an HOA involved, make sure that, the buyer is provided with the contact person and all that, so that moving forward, if there is a HOA fee, that will be, the responsibility of the buyer. They have that and they're not like caught off guard, because if they are going to build, HOAs can put liens against land, and kind of hold up that process. So you just want to make sure you have all the correct contact info, from the start. And it sounds like, I've had attorneys say like we're having trouble getting in contact with the HOA person to verify that there's fees. So this isn't something that's unheard of. In terms of that, it's just making sure that you guys also know who that is, moving forward. But I agree with Lori, just try to get the attorneys involved and get everybody, squared away on that.
Anybody else have any other questions on that or have another scenario you want to bring to the table? Something that was brought to my attention yesterday was a scenario who are on the listing side and the buyer is submitting their repair request. So when this happens, in an ideal world, we are only getting the sections of the home inspection that apply to the repair request. We do not want to receive and have knowledge of other defects with the property. Once you have knowledge, now we've got ethically, morally, we've got to disclose all of that stuff. So just trying to make sure that the other side only gives you the pages or sections of the inspection report that apply to whatever they are asking for. And so in this scenario that came across my desk yesterday was the listing side was sending over the whole thing, said it was their office policy, and our agent's response was, well, I'm not looking at that whole thing. So I don't know if anybody's, had a scenario like this or just wants to discuss, but just making sure everybody understands once that knowledge, now you've got to disclose if it's a material defect to other parties. So we really don't want that knowledge in an ideal world. So it's kind of a catch-22. You want something showing that the home inspector said you've got an issue, but you don't want all of the issues, right? So, if you're pretty sure that this is an issue, you don't necessarily need the sections of the inspection report. You could just say, hey, send over your repair request. I don't want to have any documentation of what the issues are with the house. Anybody else have just other thoughts about this or how to approach repair requests, inspection reports?
On our repair request, doesn't it have a box you check that says, please see below to be done by a licensed contractor and attach pages of report? Like, doesn't that say that on our repair request? So like we kind of say we're sending over the pages of the report that reflect just the repairs we're requesting, right? Like that's pretty normal.
That's what ours is doing. So that's what we're doing on the buy side. But if you're on the listing side and the other side sends you,
I've
the whole
said to
report.
them, look, I'm not opening this email because I don't want the whole report. I'm not opening that PDF. So can you please resend just the pages? I've said that before because I don't want to see that shit. I just need to see what you're requesting.
Yeah, in this scenario, they just said they were telling our agent it was office policy to send the whole report, and we're not sending the pages. So, at that point, you've got a decision to make. Hey, look, do I really care as the listing agent about those sections of the report, or would I rather not see any of it? Go ahead, Pat.
I mean, if it's like a cream puff house versus like a terrible home, that all the shit's gonna come up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of where Lori is going. So if you're on the list side, is there ever a recommendation to have, hey, why don't we have a licensed electrician come in and take a look? Why don't we have a plumber come in and take a look before we even go to market? Because if there is an issue, maybe they find it, we fix it, and then if they have their inspection and say, oh, this is the problem, we already have, hey, listen, we just had a licensed electrician come in. They took a look through the house. They found this issue. We had it fixed. We don't think that's an issue. You know what I mean? Like, is that ever a scenario that we do make recommendations on the list side? I don't do the list side enough to know if that's a thing or not.
Yeah. So we developed a program called the Certified Pre-Owned Home. And that's the exact strategy of this. If you were looking at certified pre-owned cars, I think you would pay more knowing that the car has already gone through a 50-point inspection, right? So this would definitely be a strategy that you could bring to your sellers to say, hey, look, I think we can get more for this property if we have a home inspection done ahead of time and we address the major structural mechanical issues. It's going to cost your seller money up front, but then you are going to then provide that information to any potential buyers to say, hey, look, this is what you're buying. You could do your own home inspection if you want. If you want to save money on it and you want to trust the one that we have, here you go. Here's the inspection report that we had. Here's the repairs that we've made. Maybe your buyer can save $500, $600, $700 on doing a home inspection and know, going forward, moving into this deal, what they're buying. So I don't know if anybody wants to just share if you've done this with a seller or, how it went, but it's definitely a strategy that you could look at.
Steve, would you share the information about having the report before offers come in, or wait for offers to come in and then let them know, hey, your offer's really strong. We have had it inspected. I do have access to the report. Would you be willing to waive if
I think you would do it. I think you do it ahead of time. Just say, hey, I would market it as a certified pre-owned or pre-inspected home. I forget what we had a name for it, but and I would just send it ahead of time. I think you could get potentially better offers by doing that and just show, hey, here's the inspection. We're looking for people to waive or something along those lines. So, Nicole?
I've had inspectors say they won't do it though because it's a liability. I've had really great inspectors say, sorry, I used to do those. but I'm not messing with that anymore. So I don't know. Some inspectors don't do it.
I don't understand, Lori. What if a seller wants a home inspection, they want to report on their home? Why wouldn't
A
a home?
pre-inspection, like before coming to market. If they know, like, we're coming to market, I've had inspectors say, no, I'm not, you're gonna have to find somebody else. So I don't know why. But I agree with you. If you're just
Yeah,
like, I need my home inspected, you know,
yeah, I've never.
it shouldn't be a problem, but I did have an inspector who wouldn't do it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
He ran into some trouble. I have no clue.
No,
Yeah,
I think part of it could be that you're like, hey, I don't want a formal, right? I don't, maybe they were like trying to, hey, can you give me a quick inspection or something, a couple $100 instead of a formal one? I know there's some home inspectors that don't want that, right? Because we've had that both on the list side and on the buy side, right? Hey, can you just run through this on the buy side? I don't want to spend $500, but can you just look at the major structural mechanicals so that I can now go and waive my inspection with my offer? And I know some home inspectors aren't going to be cool with that. They're either doing a full inspection or they're not. Nicole, did you have something on this? And then maybe Jay, I think you might have wanted to add something.
Yeah, I had just actually commenting on that. I wonder if it could be inspectors don't want it passed along to buyers who weren't the ones that paid for it. If, God forbid, for whatever reason, it doesn't even go onto the market for a year or two, and now it's an outdated inspection report, you have buyers calling about a problem or something. Because one of my inspectors has said every time he comes out to my clients, he'll say, like, this, like they all do, this is good for today. And so I wonder if there's been issues in the past of stuff has gone wrong maybe after, and they're getting calls from the buyers. But I was going to tell a story about.
And just to comment on that's the buyer's risk at that point. That home inspection was for the seller, for the. See how the home inspector would be liable for a buyer that. Yeah, I can see where there might be some concern, but like that was a home inspection for the seller. The seller can use that they want. But anyway.
Right. No, so we just had an offer. The agent was on the buy side, our agent, but the seller had got it inspected ahead of time and shared it with them so they were comfortable waiving inspections. And I don't even know if he did that many repairs. He did some small stuff, but it was just now peace of mind for both parties. Obviously, it can open up some financial stuff for the seller if they do find anything big, but to know you're under contract with someone who's already seen an inspection, they're waiving, so there's going to be no more hiccups, there's no more contingency, they can just skip right past that. It just, I think, is going to be peace of mind for both sides. Of it's going to be a smooth deal. You're way more confident that it's going to close because you're over that hurdle already. So it might be worth, the upfront cost to be able to share that and get an offer with a waived inspection.
Yeah. It's that was definitely the goal of this, is that you shouldn't have deals falling apart if you shared, an inspection report. If we are on the buy side of one of these deals, we should be getting our buyer to sign an inspection waiver on this. We do not want to accept an inspection that was done by the seller, right? If it makes our buyer feel more comfortable, great. We should still be getting an inspection waiver on that file that, hey, we recommended that you do your own home inspection with your own home inspector, and you're choosing to accept this one that was done 30 days ago by this other inspection company. Just to be clear, that's how you should handle it if you run into a property that has one of these pre-inspected or pre-home inspections done on it. Did you have something else on it, Jay?
No, just Nicole covered it.
Yeah, this is good stuff, because there's a bunch of different, there's positives and negatives to it all, but I would tend to agree with Nicole. Like, hard to believe that deal is going to fall apart when you do this stuff ahead of time. And it's like, yeah, the seller might discover stuff, but they were probably going to discover stuff anyway when the buyer did their home inspection. So unless it's priced so well or the market is so hot, right? Like it was a year or two ago, where it was just everything was cranking, and buyers are just waiving their home inspections. And yeah, maybe you don't want to do that. But as the market starts to slow, this could definitely be a strategy that you could use with your sellers.
Steve, just to clarify, you're talking, what I was talking about was having a licensed electrician come in, a licensed plumber come in. What you're talking about is having an actual home inspection done, and then if something comes up, then having those professionals come in, correct?
Exactly. Yep. Just trying to, like Nicole said, these deals should now not fall apart, right? The worst thing is when you're putting deals together and you accept an offer and then the buyer backs out because of a home inspection. You lost all your mojo, all that initial, bells and whistles, everything's, you're going to get your highest offer when it first comes in. And to lose all that momentum because the buyer backs out because of inspections, that's what we're preventing with this. Is, hey, look, we're basically looking for buyers to waive because we've done this ahead of time. We're going to provide it to you. And we're looking for buyers that are comfortable. This is, a licensed home inspector has done this. This is what you're walking into. And there was 4 issues on the report and we fixed them all. Here's the receipts. It's not going to be for every seller, but can be for some. All right, guys, we are well over today. Great discussion points today. Thanks for bringing this stuff to the table. Have yourselves a great Wednesday, and we will talk to you all again tomorrow morning.